You're in the kitchen.
Welcome to another edition of Pressure Cooker, our 5th edition with 3 amazing guests, and all of them had amazing weekends this past weekend in Atlanta. We have Garnett, Rafa Hewett, and Christian Alshon.
We have half
Welcome.
a Christian. There he is. There's the full Christian.
We thank you guys, first of all, for joining us. Great weekend. All of you guys had incredible runs in Atlanta. I want to hear all about it. Connor, let's start with you. Made it to a final, a semifinal, fought, tooth and nail. It was amazing. Oh, Jared wants me to talk about Lotto shoes. Brought to you by Lotto shoes. Thank you, Lotto. We appreciate it. You can get them at FromuthPickleball.com. And
6 shoes. Sorry. Back to you, Connor.
Connor, tell us about the run. How did it feel? How are you feeling now?
Yeah, no, it was a great run. I had a battle with Tyson in the quarters, I think, and it was a roller coaster of momentum swings, and I think that really helped me propel to that finals and singles. And I've been pretty close a couple times, and there's definitely in singles, there's a few of us that have been up there and just like kind of in that kind of knocking at the door. Christian had the big win against Ben this week too, and was knocking at the door as well. And then doubles was what I was a little more surprised about, where hadn't made a quarter yet, and Gabe and I had 2 just battles with Kohler and Lung, and then Jay and Andre to get to a semifinal, and it was just the best kind of combined weekend I've had so far. So still just enjoying that, and hoping to double down and get a little more practice in and make that a consistent thing.
That's awesome. And obviously you were playing with Gabe Tardio, 17 years old. That's his second semi this year, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, no, he's been playing well. It's been fun to share the court with him. He definitely, his game, what I like about it is his speed ups are a little deceptive, and so we can just get in those hands battles, and he can move over, take over, and he can play both sides of the court really well and take as much of the court as he needs and really assert himself in the right moments, and we had some fun together.
Yeah, that's awesome. Rafa, your weekend, you had a fiery match against Riley in Paris. You and Lina in mixed. Great match. It was devastating to see that thing come to an end on a foot fault. How are you feeling? And tell us about your run.
Yeah, no, that's the second time playing with Lina, and just felt comfortable with her on the court. We kind of communicated very well, and I love going against the big guys. So when I saw that I had a shot against Riley, first couple points in, he said something like, "You don't want to go at my line" or something, and that's all I needed. So I decided to go at him. I felt like I won more percentages of the hand speed battles, but fell short. Had a couple tight calls. That line call at the end was pretty rough. Wish we'd have a replay. Even if I was in the kitchen, I don't know if you call that.
I agree. Can't make that call there.
That's like saying in the NBA finals, 3 seconds left on the clock, you're down by 2. Does that ref blow the whistle? I don't know. So,
kitchen violation is a kitchen violation.
If it was.
If it was egregious.
If it was. I haven't seen the video. But anyway, congratulations, Christian, the one who made the biggest impact this week, knocking off Ben Johns in singles. How did that feel? I mean, you've been coming for a while. I feel like, there's some fear over there on every time you step on the court in singles. How did that feel, Christian?
There's a feeling when you play somebody and every time you lose, it puts a little bit more weight on your back, on your shoulders. It keeps building and building and building. Cause it's like, oh, am I ever going to beat this guy? Am I ever going to be able to get over that hump? And when you do it, man, when you just take it all off your shoulder, all off your back, it was the best feeling I've had since I started playing. It was cool.
It was an intense match, and there kept being rain delays, and I remember at the end, people were cheering, but you wanted more. You were like, guys, this means a lot to me. I'm 1-6 against this guy. Come on, and then everyone gave you more applause. I I felt that moment. I felt it. I could tell how much it really meant to you. I thought it was cool.
Yeah. I mean, I talked to some people and they were like, "Oh, we thought you just split. We didn't know you won, so we weren't really cheering." So some people thought that. They didn't do the PPA didn't do it with me, which is fine because I interviewed myself, and you'll be able to check that out on my YouTube whenever. But yeah. If somebody else doesn't do it, you got to do it yourself.
I like it, Christian. Good for you. All right, so Atlanta was awesome. We'll come back to Atlanta in a second, but I want to talk about MLP. San Clemente is coming up in June. All of you guys are on MLP teams. Rafa, you are in the Premier League. Connor and Christian are in the Challenger. There you go. New York Hustlers, shout out to them. Chicago Slice with Connor and Christian. You're the Bay Area Breakers, who are the two-time defending champs. I want to talk about the shuffle draft, the pickups, the trades. I think the biggest difference this time is going to be Christian, the Bay Area Breakers, are picking up Vivian Glosman to replace Rachel Summers, who is out because she's in medical school, I think, right? And had a conflict.
Yeah.
Priorities, I understand that. But yeah, I mean, how is everybody feeling about their teams going into MLP? Christian, let's start with you. You got a new player. Have you had a chance to play with her?
Two-time defending champion. We could lose one of our teammates and we would still win. Come on, like we only need 3 people. No, I feel good, and I don't mean that, but I think we would still have a shot if there were only 3 of us.
So you're just gonna play just 2v1?
Well, I mean,
what do you think of that, Connor?
I like the confidence. I think there's a second place team in there that's ready to take the here or this event.
Yeah. So Connor, how are you guys feeling going in? Your team's strong and been playing great. No pickups for you. Emily Ackerman, Susanna Barr, yourself, and Ryler DeHart.
I mean, the team is feeling good. Ryler and Rob Nunnery had some good wins in the APP the last couple of weeks. So definitely knocking on the door of the kind of challenger teams. Had some battles in the last one, and I think as a team starting to find our rhythm and just trying to do as much as we can and see where the chips fall, but feeling really good about the team chemistry and cohesion we have.
Excellent. And Rafa, New York Hustlers, you guys were kind of the breakout team last time. I felt like Lacey Schneeman's playing out of her mind. Anna
Wasn't
Bright,
it 2? That was 2 MLPs ago. They were the breakout team, right?
Well, that was
Yes.
the first MLP.
Yeah.
True. Fair enough. So Anna Bright and Tyson. And obviously Tyson was hurt last time, if I'm not mistaken.
Brendan Long.
And Brendan Long came up.
Jumped in.
Tyson's looking good now. He seems to be back to his full form. What can we expect out of you guys this time?
Yeah, no, I mean, if we can just all stay healthy, I feel like we should be a championship team. We haven't had a run yet all together being all healthy. The first round, I was banged up on my knee. Tyson was injured. He played through it, and then the second round, Tyson was injured. We had to bring in Brendan in there, and then we had to mix and match matchups all together. Found a way to make it to the playoffs, but I feel like this time around, I feel like Tyson's ready. I feel like our girls, they're probably the most solid team out there, and who knows, we might mix and match our mix lineup this time. So.
All right, big news.
Let me ask you guys, and Jason, if I'm jumping the gun, I apologize. Connor and Christian, will you be in the Premier League next season?
I think that's a great question. I mean, with MLP, you never know. I am always terrified to make a assumption, so GM's got to do their research and see. And I think that both of us probably feel like we can be there, and it comes down to them if they think it. At least for me.
I already know Christian's answer, but
if I'm not a top 10 choice, I'm gonna be upset. No.
I mean, we have like two guys on the opposite ends of the spectrum, and then we have Rafa, who's already in the Premier, who's pretty much kind of like more on the Christian side of confidence, I think, or bashfulness rather. Rafa, do you think these guys will be up in Premier?
I think it just depends on partnerships and what the GMs are looking for. And like lefty righty, both of them are righties. Can both of them play the both left and right side? That's crucial because, like, let's say if you have somebody like a Deckel Bar that's probably wants to be mainly on the left side, you got to make sure that you can play on the right for him. So you got to know your role in MLP, and that's what I think. Me being a lefty is so solid because I can play that right side spot for our players, and I can be dominant on the mix side of things. And I only need to play a couple points in singles, and I tell you what, I'll bring it on those points.
You already know Connor and I are going to both put Deco on the right side, so that's not even a question. Yeah.
Well, but that's the thing. That does the GM want that type of confidence? I don't think like it's, you know what I mean. You got to be a team player.
We already know I can play full court. Fair enough, though.
I'm betting on both you guys. Connor, I'll be honest. Before this weekend, I would have said you probably weren't getting the call up, but I think that was a pretty big weekend. Especially on the double side. The single side, I knew you were there. I remember Rafa playing last year with Gabe in Atlanta, and loved watching them. And just see how far that you've come and Gabe's come. I think you're going to make it. I would be disappointed if you weren't.
Time will only tell.
This is true. So let's talk about how this whole the shuffle draft, the pickups. We're going to have a complete new draft after this MLP event in San Clemente, where everybody's completely free agent, and the draft starts all over again, right? The challenger teams now become the premier teams. The premier teams become the challenger teams, and we start all over, fresh slate. Do we like that? Is that exciting? Do we think we're going to see a complete it completely jumbled up, or are we going to see the challenger players for the most part stay the challenger players and the premier players stay the premier players? What do you think, Christian?
I think there's going to be at least 5 different switches. Like at least 5 people are going to come down from the premier, and then 5 people are going to go up from the challenger.
Men and women on both genders, or just men?
I'm thinking just men off the top of my head. Yeah.
Which men are coming down?
Oh, wouldn't you like to know? No. I'm not feeling like calling people out just yet, but let's keep going.
Smart.
Jared thought he was going to catch you on that one. Okay, Rafa, what do you think? How many people do you think we're going to see go up and down?
Probably 3 to 5 around that range. I think probably 2 girls on the premier, and probably 3 guys on the challenger will move up.
Yeah. So not a lot of movement. Connor, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that's tricky is when you look at the top of challenger and the bottom of premier, can you make the case that top challenger player is better than the premier player? And that's kind of where it's tricky. Like, a lot of these people in challenger could arguably be in that premier, but is a GM going to take a known player versus taking someone new? And then it kind of comes down to the upside. So I think it's going to be probably on that, like, three guys, maybe like 1 or 2 girls.
Yep.
Hopefully.
Paris is definitely throwing things for a loop. I mean,
Paris will be in.
Paris will be in, but that kind of sucks for someone maybe like a Susanna Barr, who's been playing out of her mind, who might not make it up because of Paris coming in.
But is Paris definitely playing MLP?
You got to think she is, right? I mean,
I don't know if that's been decided.
And the question is, how many premier players aren't going to play MLP this year? I've heard some rumors, so
correct.
that will be interesting too.
What about Jack Sock? What if he plays?
He will definitely be a premier player. I don't know if that's deserved or not, but he will be a premier player.
That'd be pretty sweet to get the eyes on the sport, though. Like, with all those tennis guys, they've done something that a lot of us coming from tennis backgrounds haven't. So you got to give them, at least at the start, you give them that and see if they can prove it. If not, then pick him out, but definitely having him get into the arena would be pretty awesome to see, and great eyes on the sport.
Well said.
Connor, you had an opportunity to play with Donald Young this
Yeah.
week, didn't you? How did that go? How was he as a
He's
player?
sneaky good. He hasn't been playing a ton, but his double side, he's got the feel, which is pretty cool. And growing up watching tennis, it was awesome to play with those guys and just kind of hear the differences in pro tennis, pro pickle. And, you know, there were a couple singles points that I was playing him that I was beating him, and I could see the fire in his eyes where he was, I could see him getting into pickleball. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Well, I've actually played with him the last 2 weeks, and he hits the ball so hard. It's you know, and it dips.
Yeah.
It just
What paddle is he playing with?
he's playing with the Gamma
Vulcan, but he's like dabbling with, I think, some Selkirks too.
Okay. Let's go back to PPA Atlanta. How did everybody feel about the venue, the fans, the kind of on-court antics? Rafa, we could talk a little bit about that with you. But how was the atmosphere for you guys? I, for one, I felt like that was the best, you know, I've seen on a PPA tour, the most intense. It felt almost MLP-like. Connor, what about you? What do you think?
The venue, super awesome. The fans, awesome. I know Rafa's got some fans. I remember seeing those guys in Mesa heckling against me in our singles match. And I guess he said some nice stuff about me, and they were supporting me as long as I wasn't playing Rafa. So it was pretty cool to have the fan engagement there, and just, love the atmosphere, that kind of side with all the stairs and all the seats. That's a great addition. Some of the other venues didn't have that. So the more people you can get packed on that center court, the better it's going to be for the sport, and just the more exciting and more antics you're going to get from the players, and it's just going to be more fun.
Agreed. Rafa, what about you?
Yeah, no, I think just in general, the South, they just love their sports, right? They love their football. They get rowdy with football. So when transitioning over to pickleball, if we can get a little bit loud and get them going, get the crowd going, I think they enjoy it as well. So that's what I love about it. And it's close to home. I only live about an hour 45 from there. So I actually had Connor and Christian come early for a week, and they were training at our club. And so we're doing 2-a-days, getting ready to go. So hopefully that helped out to get ready for the weather. It was hot, it was warm, so I think they had an edge on everybody else. So
yeah, I didn't even mention that Rafa and Christian, you guys played men's together. So yeah, that's kind of cool that all of you guys were out in Auburn playing together. Christian, what did you think of the venue? What did you think of the fans?
As a side note to the venue, I arrived, and driving in, I was like, oh, this place looks kind of familiar. And I pull in, and I'm walking, and I see the first pickleball court, and it just hits me. I'm like, oh snap. I lost a tennis match on that court 7 years ago against some kid. And then I'm walking around, and I'm just getting like deja vu. Everything's hitting. I had played there before in ITF 2016. I lost singles, but I made it to the finals of doubles, played on center court, and lost. But I pulled up the photo, and it was really cool to kind of just see like tennis, junior tennis and pickleball like combining. Definitely a better crowd for pickleball than junior tennis, though.
I have a question. So there were a moment each that I want to ask you all about from Atlanta. So Christian, I'll start with you. When you lost to J-Dub, you kind of sat there for, it felt like a long time. I didn't time it, but I'm going to say it was at least 6 minutes. What was going through your head? And before you tell me, what I'm going to guess was that you were sitting there taking in the moment, remembering how it felt to lose that match. It was kind of that moment of like, I'm going to remember how this feels because I'm not losing next time. Is that right?
I mean, that's probably what I should have been thinking. No, let me think. I think the biggest thing that just goes on in the head repeatedly is like, I can't believe that just happened. I can't believe that just happened. I can't believe that just happened. Because, you know, in a match where you lose 11-9 in the third, Garnett knows how this feels. You just know that it could have gone either way. And beating Ben is great, but like somebody who's a true competitor, that wouldn't satisfy them. So I after it happened, I stopped caring, and I was like, all right, what's next? Like, what do I got to do? And just to be so close and to be, it hurt. It hurt a lot.
Did you consider attacking JW? Because I thought that could have happened as well. No comment. Okay, Rafa, your match with against Riley in Paris was one of the most entertaining matches of the weekend. I'd say it was up there with the Julian Travis versus it was also Riley and Matt.
Yeah.
When you guys at one point you said something to the effect of like, Riley, let's take it off the court. He said something and you said, well, let's see what it's like off the court. Do you remember that?
Yeah. He said something like, you don't want to go at me. And I said, really? We
Right.
can either do it on the court or we can do it off. So
Right. And so when you go see him in the locker room, when you run into him, 20 minutes later, is it kind of finished on the court, or is it still like, I'm going to rip your head off?
It's up to those people.
Good question.
No, yeah, it's on the court. Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, I'm just in the moment, getting a little heated. But I mean, if you want to talk the talk, then go ahead and show me the rest of it too.
It makes for amazing pickleball. I mean, that's how the matches should be. I think Christian and Rafa, you guys ratcheted it up. Connor, I want to see a little more. I want to see some more smack talking out of you.
Yeah, it depends. It'll only come out when it's thrown towards me. I'll get a little chippy every now and again, but as long as they keep it good, then I'll try and keep it good. But definitely, it's entertaining for the sport, getting these guys throwing some jabs verbally at each other.
And Connor, the question I have for you: you played in the final, the singles final, right, on Sunday. What was Saturday night like? What going into it? How'd you sleep? I mean, when I played on Saturday and Sunday, I got a lot of sleep. Jason and I had a good run, for those who care. We were 4-2. And in mixed, I broke out with a rash the night before Sunday, and I just couldn't sleep well. So do you sleep well before a big final like that?
Yeah, it's interesting. The night before the semifinal, because for my semi, it was Friday morning, I slept, I think, 3.5 hours. So was like, I don't know what it was, just being in that moment. I didn't get a lot of sleep, but just because I was so sleep deprived going into Sunday, I'm pretty sure I just knocked out. That being said, with those big matches, that's super important to be able to have a routine, and something that I'm working on is just making sure you don't let those moments consume you. And there have been definitely a handful of moments, whether it was that before the semifinal or prior times throughout the year, where I just walk up and can't sleep. So you got to be for those matches.
Jason, I'm going to ask one last question. I'm not going to say another word. For the amateurs out there, and even for the pros, how do you, if you have a bad night's sleep, or if you have jitters or something, how do you get, and I'm asking for myself, I could not focus on Sunday going on 3.5 hours sleep. I felt like I was underwater. I felt foggy. How do you, and I'm a mental midget, so I might, hopefully others aren't like that, but how do you get into the moment?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends. If it's just finding a way, whether so for an example, if you're tight and you go down 0-5, I'll tell myself, just hit this next serve as hard as I can. Or in tennis, I had a thing where I would always tell my partner in doubles, miss the serve. It's putting conditions on yourself where you want to be not forcing yourself to do a certain thing and just kind of taking yourself out of the moment. One of the things I was saying in the semifinal was get to the second round. And so in my head, what I was trying to convince myself was I'm in a first round match.
You cut out there for a sec, but I think I got the gist. Do a reset. Okay. Rafa, What about you? What do you do to get focused in the moment?
right here.
Day one.
Day one.
Little day one, baby.
Is that help really that much?
I think it helps a lot. Yeah. No. Like I said, sometimes I get a little heated out there. I need to do something, drink something, or do something to bring me back down, or vice versa. If I feel like I'm getting a little bit low, I'll drink a Coke out on the court to get myself hyped back up. So that's kind of my mentality. And I feel like I'm always in it. I don't think I'm ever down. So I always try to stay positive through it all. Like this weekend, Christian and I, we were down. What were we down? Like 12-3?
9-0, 12-3.
Yeah, 9-0, 12-3 in the back draw. And we just looked at each other. All right, we're just gonna literally take 1 point at a time, dude. Let's just dink. Let's just grind. Let's just see what we can do. And we somehow come back and win 16-14. So that's just never giving up on that type of thing. And then having confidence in your partner too, to know that we can try to stay together, keep ourselves from wanting to butt heads. So
Christian, any other thought?
Well,
Anything to add on that?
Yeah, I mean, if you go into a match and you're just giving yourself so much pressure and you're putting the specific match on like a pedestal that it's more important than it really is, you're gonna do poorly. So I mean, something that I did right at the start was to just lighten like the mood and kind of like make it relaxing and fun, is hit a couple trick shots. That was my whole MO right when I started. Like I'd hit tweeners, so like, you know, if I lost, like, oh, like I'm out here hitting tweeners, like I shouldn't be winning. Like you should be beating me. But once you get to a higher level, you kind of have to like take that back, and you're not those points matter at some moments. But it's a fun sport. Have fun with it.
Nice. So as pickleball becomes, you know, higher and higher profile, and you as players start to be, you know, achieve some level of fame, it looks fun out there. What are we not seeing? How hard is it to be a professional pickleball player right now? Like, what are the challenges that you guys are dealing with? Because I know we don't see behind the scenes. We see you walk out on center court and it looks awesome. What are you guys dealing with? What could be improved? What could, you know, what do you want to see done better? Rafa, let's start with you.
That's, I don't know. That's a tough one. I mean, like, what do you mean? Like, what do I want to see done better on the outside of the pickleball?
Is it hard? Is it hard being a pro? Is what are the challenges?
Well, I have a lot of different roles. I mean, I'm a father. I'm a director at a country club. I'm huge into family. Connor saw this weekend. Like he saw that. I mean, he stayed with me. So did Christian. So they saw pretty much what my life actually looks like. So if you want to ask them, they can pretty much tell you what my day to day is. I mean, I'm up, get to the courts, make sure everything's going well, see all the members, got to socialize with all them, then got to be checking emails. I got an amazing wife, Brooklyn, that helps me out on the back side of things, making sure when I'm on court, she can reply to people, because as you can see, when we're playing, we can't be on our phone. So have a lot of, it's a lot of things going on, but I'm definitely, I love what I do. Just people need to realize we're human beings, and we might mess up every now and then, but I'm just enjoying the ride right now, and eventually gonna, like, I'm a professional pickleballer, but I'm doing a lot of other things. So like what these guys are seeing, I'm starting to take back of teaching less, teaching more, and put more into the body. And you guys are going to see a different Rafa coming up. So be ready for that.
Can't wait. Connor, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, kind of on Rafa's point, it's pretty cool seeing the different types of people in pickleball. Obviously, you got Rafa with a family, 3 kids. They're up. He's got to help with Brooklyn, take them to school, and do all that. And so you get a lot of different struggles for the different players, and just like time management, which is so key. And I feel a little fortunate to be just a 26-year-old guy that can just go and play pickleball and have some fun with it. I would say just as there's more of a profile in the sport, I think partnerships are going to get strained a little more. You can even see this year, there are probably 4 or 5 set men's doubles teams, and there's just a lot more jockeying around to try and find those partners. So it's going to get crazier and crazier with that. And I'm excited to see how it continues as more money gets thrown into the sport. And I'm sure there'll be some craziness that'll be interesting to see. And hopefully it doesn't happen to me.
Christian, what about you? What are you seeing out there? Where are the difficulties and pain points for you?
I want to just comment on the fact that I did stay with Rafa and Connor this weekend. Got to know them a decent amount. I drove Connor from Auburn to Atlanta to get his rental car. So like we've had some time to chat, and you realize like there's more going on in people's lives than just pickleball if you're not me. But but no, yeah. See, Rafa, I saw him in his element. The guy's a father. He's a father
Appreciate
out
that.
there. So call him Big Papa Rafa. And Connor, yeah, Connor, he's on his grind. We're all on our grind. Like we're trying to do things not just pickleball related, but trying to build our brand, trying to have like side hustles. Like it's hard to dedicate everything to one thing. Like you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, and I think that's what you really see among a lot of pro pickleball players is that they're not all putting their eggs in one basket. They're all like there's a lot of attorneys and lawyers in pickleball, way more than you would think. And it's crazy to see. So I don't think there's a ton of people that the only thing they're doing is pickleball. And yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. And I think as we see more money come into the sport, that's going to change, right? Like people have careers, but if it gets lucrative enough that you can make a living playing a sport and playing this sport, you'll start seeing people dedicating more time to it and taking care of their bodies a little bit better and traveling with trainers. And we're already seeing a little bit of that.
A lot more, actually. I mean, Ben had a trainer there.
Mm-hmm.
Catherine's had her trainer.
They're expensive, man. Come on.
Yeah, but that's what happened in tennis, right? This is exactly what happened in tennis, and we've heard this a number of times that if you don't have that team, it becomes a race, and if you don't have that full team behind you, you really lose out because the other players are utilizing, all that personnel, and you can't keep up because they're being trained professionally, they're eating properly, they have a cook on the road, they, and it becomes that rat race. And it's hard to keep up. But I think obviously we're going to see gambling come into the sport. I think by maybe next PPA tournament in Texas might be the first tournament that goes and has active gambling on it. That's going to change things, right? That's surely going to bring an influx of money into the sport. It's going to bring some complicated situations as well. And I wanted to talk to you guys about that. Maybe this is our last topic, but like, have you guys been kind of trained up or had any interaction with the powers that be, whether it's PPA or USA Pickleball, about gambling coming into pickleball? Christian?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot of talk about gambling, and I mean, I think it's long overdue, and I think it's going to bring a lot of people into the sport because just people like to gamble. I don't really know specifics off the top of my head.
Okay. Rafa, have you had any interaction on any kind of
I've not really
official
heard much. I
interaction
just
with
keep on
gambling coming into the
been
sport?
told. I thought we were supposed to have it before May, and it's already May. So, just wondering when it's coming, and when it comes, we need to figure out how to make sure there's no people throwing matches and other stuff on the backside of things because we don't want that to happen to the sport. And so I'll say one more thing. I feel like if we're gonna have gambling, we're gonna have to get rid of backdraws.
Connor,
I think that the format will have to change. I think it'll have to be 3 out of 5 games to 11, and no backdraw. So I think that tournaments might have to start maybe like on a Wednesday instead, and you play to the quarters or to the semis, and then the finals are on Saturday and Sunday. So start changing the format up. And it might be a full week at a tournament and it already is pretty much a full week for most guys that are playing singles, but just changing it up that way, because backdraw, not saying I would, but if somebody were to find out that they're playing against me and they're realizing, well, they can have their buddy go throw, 20 $20,000 down to lose in the back draw, they're going to do that, because what are they going to make in a back draw if you win?
Yeah.
Maybe there won't be gambling. Maybe there won't be gambling on back draws.
I think you just got to get rid of back draws in general.
Move.
Third place.
Connor, you heard anything about gambling?
I haven't. I mean, I've definitely seen some of the DraftKings guys at some of the tournaments. Obviously, they're a sponsor of the PPA, and they've been coming out and have been hearing. Well, I guess I've been hearing that it's coming for a little while. Just haven't heard the final kind of verdict on it. But I mean, that's the interesting thing to Rafa's point. Pickleball's format is all of singles is a day. So if you wanted to bet on the Ben Christian match, you had to have known when they had won that last match, and it would have had to have been pretty immediate to throw that money down. So I just wonder, are they going to have less matches per day in each event? Because that's the only way that I would imagine that you get those successful kind of gambling bets for the semis and finals, which I imagine there's a lot more betting on the later stage matches than the earlier ones as well.
Yeah. Interesting.
Before Jason brings us home, I just want to thank you guys and say that, we've talked to a lot of people over the past year in different interviews, and sometimes people are on the tail end of their careers. I feel like you guys are all ascending right now. You're all, Rafa, to hear that you're now really starting to take body more seriously. And I think you're one of the most exciting players out there. I think, you have a huge career ahead of you in this sport. And obviously the two young dudes, so exciting to watch y'all the past year, and just I'm super stoked for what's ahead for both of you. So appreciate y'all's time, and I know Jason sure has some thoughts too.
I echo those sentiments. I'm excited to watch all of you guys continue to perform at the peak of the sport, and it's only good things from here. So thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us and sharing your thoughts on this. Congrats on a great weekend, and let's go see what you can do out in California and in Texas before that. So thanks. And we will see you guys again soon.
Thanks for having us.